Hey Alan, how are you today?
I'm well, Anthony. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I just wanted to give you another quick Skype call here today and just another question that I was thinking about and I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
Um, I was contemplating on this, but basically, how do you define duality? What's your thoughts on duality?
Okay. To me, duality is almost like a computer's one and zero, off and on, yes and no.
Right,
Classically, in the Tao Te Ching, they would say high and low define each other, um, soft and hard support each other, things like that. And then people would say, well, there's lots of variation on a theme, many gradations of that. But really, it's not. It's the mind's need to judge.
right.
And this is the nature of Maya.
Mm.
This is the nature of conflict.
Hmm. So, because there's like good, there's bad, there's hot, there's cold, there's up, there's down. We think there's old sayings. People say, "Well, if there's one, there has to be the other."
That's right.
So, like, what do they mean when they say that? When
Yin and yang kind of ideas.
yeah, that there must be the opposite. If you're feeling happy now, you must feel the opposite of that because you're in duality. But I know there's more to it.
And that's the key word, because you believe you're in duality.
There we go.
And because you believe you're in duality, you live a life that demonstrates duality.
Right,
And as good as things often get, there's a semi expectation that things also have to go badly.
right.
And that's where feeling comes in. If you feel your feelings, you begin to unravel the need for duality.
And that just happens.
And it just happens. You arrive at being rather than separateness.
Huh. I, just one quick thing I noticed. I've been doing this quite some time and processing for years now. Things I used to think were like, oh, like gross or something. I don't even have like judgment on anymore. It's just that. It just is. And I'll hear others around me say stuff about it. I'm like, well, I don't even understand how, you know what I mean? It just happened, but that's just from lots of processing things. I won't have a judgment on things. Is that what you mean by it just is? It's not a good or a bad.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, there's going to be differences,
right.
or so it appears. But even that doesn't have to be. That's much further along the path. Because as you unwind the conflict, there's less conflict, but there's also better access to what was hidden before that you didn't realize was an internal resistance.
So duality could really be your internal resistance creating that duality because you think you need it.
That's exactly correct. And I believe that we feel we need it
Hmm.
because our society constantly demonstrates it in our teachers and our parents, and all the authorities demonstrated that yes, this is the case. Unless you start talking about the mystics and the like, they're the
Hmm.
one that talk about everything is one.
Yeah. What is that? That's you took that right out of I was about to ask that. What does that mean to you when they say oneness, one without a second, everything is one? What does that
To
mean?
me, there's a couple of explanations for it, but probably the straightforwardest one is everything is connected, and the only thing that makes us believe it's not connected is that duality.
In our mind judgments.
That's right.
So really, everything is that one being. I've heard it before that one analogy where, say, a gold necklace, it has this beautiful design to it, but in reality, it's all just gold.
That's
Is
right.
that what you would say? That's what oneness is. That's what this is.
Um, I mean, you can have gold in many, many shapes, and some appear more desirable than others.
Right.
And that's the key word. They appear more desirable. But every person agrees and every person disagrees. In
Hmm.
other words, you'll find camps that say, no, I don't find that particularly beautiful, but I find this one very beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's gold.
Hmm.
And then there'll be the comparison, well, you could have platinum,
Hmm.
you know, and it could be inset with gemstones.
Right.
And so now you're getting into the real drama of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the duality shows itself even more.
Hmm.
And people say that's where I say there's gradations. People will say there's gradations.
Hmm.
This is prettier than that, but that's still the duality.
But it's still at one at its source. I mean, just like with the gold, that more beautiful necklace is really just gold. That new beautiful experience is really just beingness.
That's right.
How would you define beingness? Because yeah, we're duality, there's duality, but when you're beyond duality, because I've heard you say the word a lot. Well, how would you define?
Beingness, beingness for me is an incredibly quiet mind that does not produce conflict.
Hmm.
And attributes of that, in other words, what you experience when that kind of reality, when you're living more in being, life resolves itself.
Hmm.
There's no searching for answers because we know that the need to search for answers is the aspect of the mind playing in duality.
Hmm.
So as we literally allow the world to unfold or our life to unfold, we experience beingness. It's really hard to define because it's more a state of
Being,
being
yeah,
rather than talking about.
than words. The words point
Yeah,
towards it, but it's not it. It's not the being.
right. And the Tao.
Yeah, exactly. And as they say, it's like the words aren't it, but it points towards the beingness.
That's right. And the Tao Te Ching says the name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Meaning, basically, when you start naming things, you break them down and you separate yourself from the one state. And that's, if you go on with it, then it says, caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. But mystery and manifestation arise from the same source.
Wow.
So the point here is, soon as you start to explain things, you're in the drama
Yeah.
and you're entering duality because your mind is saying yes and no. This works, this doesn't work,
Hmm.
rather than allowing the unfolding of reality however it presents itself. And if what it's presenting you isn't desirable from your perspective, then you have an opportunity to feel and unwind those seeming restrictions or conflicts.
Hmm.
And in so doing, you arrive at balance. And that's all it is. It's balance. It
Hmm.
doesn't require anything else from you.
Hmm.
You just are now. And
Right.
that's complete within itself.
I've heard, I know some people might say, but I need to, what's going to do it for me? If it's not up to me, who's going to do it? What's going to really, what do you think? What's your perspective on what does it
Well,
at that
that's
point?
fine. Go
Right.
ahead and do it. But if it's causing conflict within you,
Yeah.
then I would apply the Wonder Method model, which is to feel my feelings around it.
Right.
Not intellectually
Yeah.
necessarily,
Right.
and just doing what the whole model's about. But the point here is, in so doing, you arrive at balance. And
Hmm.
as you arrive at balance, answers just occur.
Right.
They just are there for you.
It was,
It's like a knowingness.
it's so hard to grasp. That's why I said it, because that was my years ago when I started, well, how am I going to think of it? How am I going to, if I'm not
Yeah,
consciously micromanaging, what's going to do it? It just literally occurs.
it takes care of itself.
Yeah,
That's what's so surprising.
yeah, exactly. And there's no need, I mean, maybe for like math equations and certain things where you need to analyze, right?
There's value to the mind, of course. I mean, we're using it, having this discussion. We couldn't have it without it.
Right.
But we don't have to have a mental conflict in order to do it.
No, it's just flowing. We're using
Yeah,
it, but it's not using us.
there's the key. There should be an integration of body and mind,
Mhm.
feeling and mind,
Mhm.
feeling and thought.
Yeah,
But it's not a conscious blending, it just happens.
right. Wow. Well, that did clear up my question. Do you have any closing for what you would say on the viewpoint of duality and beingness and oneness, or anything on that that
I
comes?
could quote the Tao Te Ching all day, not because I'm a Taoist, but because the words are so just right on.
Yeah.
But the simplest thing to say is, let me see if I can paraphrase this right. Um, one of them goes, a wagon wheel allows the wagon to move, but it's the center hole that allows it to have the motion.
Mm.
We shape clay into a pot, but it's the emptiness inside that we use. We put wood together to form a house.
Hmm.
Again, it's the empty space inside that's valuable.
Wow.
We work with being, but non-being is what we use.
Wow. Well, that was great. I appreciate again your time, and thank you for answering my question on that. I'll talk to you soon, Alan.
All right. My pleasure, and thanks for making this possible.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.